Well, hey everybody, welcome to Monday. Welcome to the live show. I'm glad you're with us. We had an extra video that dropped today on the channel, and that is the CX9. It went out just a few hours ago, so you're getting a bonus couple car review this week with Andrea and myself. So it's the CX9 today. Tomorrow, it's the Santa Fe and the Kia Sorento comparison video. On Wednesday, we're doing the Kia Carnival, the brand new minivan slash SUV looking minivan. And then on Saturday, we're putting out the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid. We just picked it up today, and boy, does it ever look good. And boy, man, that is going to, I'm telling you right now, that Hyundai Tucson is going to slay it in the marketplace. Just having a chance to look at it and drive it today. Oh, and then we have our Survivor Series car coming up on Friday. So much happening here on the channel. Don't forget, sign up to Car Cost Canada. Become an expert member. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH, the name of the channel, and it unlocks some free searches for you and more things. But definitely the most important thing is that you do some research and find out what the best deal is. Basically, you're going to find out what the dealer paid for the car. I mean, that's powerful, powerful information. And I always love when people come on the live show and they give us stories about how they used Car Cost Canada and how it saved them money. So if you have any stories like that, have at it. We actually have a super chat right off the hop here. It's from Jerome Levesque Boucher in Quebec, and he sends a nice super chat. So if you feel inclined and you'd like to support the live show, feel free to do that. We do have some pictures. We got a few of them in. The first one is this one here. This is Harold from Vancouver Island. He has a 2002 Thunderbird, looking good. That is a neat car. Next up we have, this is Jeff Wong. Sent a picture. This is, so many of you know my pal Brian Chow from Everyday Reviews. He has the same car, but his isn't as cool as yours. So this is a '05 Acura TL V6 6-speed manual transmission. Now that is what you want. That looks like it was taken right down by Victory Square there in Vancouver. So, Jeff, thanks for sending that one along. And now, this is the power of getting a deal. All right? So, this came from Matt Culver in Chester, Virginia. All right? Where's the first one? All right? With his brand new Chevrolet Bolt. Okay? He got $14,000 off the Bolt from General Motors and incentives. The dealer kicked in $2,000 off, so we got $16,000 off. On a 36-month lease, he's paying $272 with no money down. That includes taxes and fees. That's a screaming deal. And here's another picture of his Bolt, which is a great car. So basically what we're getting at here is you have to be motivated by the newest and the latest or getting a terrific deal. And in the case of this Bolt, I think he made a wise choice because the new Bolt that's coming out, which is why they heavily discount the current one, so people are waiting for the new Bolt to arrive, but the driveline, the battery is the same. It's just the packaging that they've changed. They've got a different look, slightly different look on the outside and a new interior. But that Bolt that you have there is fantastic in kilometers. I don't remember what it is in miles. It's over 415 kilometers of electric range. Great car. And you know what? Good for you, saving $16,000 off and getting an incredibly cheap lease. Good for you. All right. Now, if you want to get a picture through, send it to zack@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK@motormouth.ca. Of course, Mac is in Chester, Virginia. That's very good. Oh, some automotive news. I just looked this up before we came on. The Ford F-150 Lightning, that's the electric Ford F-150, is going to be dropping on May the 19th. I've signed up for their embargoed information. I'll be getting the information and what have you in advance of that. So my goal is to have a quick video that I'll put out when the embargo lifts on May the 19th. So it's coming. The Ford F-150 electric is coming, beating Tesla. That's not hard to do because they always announce things and then take years to develop them. Also ahead of Rivian, which is another American startup electric car company that has a cool looking truck. And Ford and Rivian do have a relationship. And also, just last week, 285,000 vehicles were stripped. The production was stripped out in North America because of this chip shortage. So let me see if I can do this. I'm usually screw it up badly. Let's see if I can figure this out. All right, I'll close that. So here are the latest chip shortages in North America. 285,000 vehicles just last week. Stellantis, Chrysler, 55 of them were the Jeep Cherokee in Belvidere, Illinois, the Dodge Charger, the Challenger, the Chrysler 300 in Bramalea, Ontario, the Chrysler Pacifica in Windsor, Ontario, the Ram ProMaster in Mexico. Ford had to cut over 71,000 vehicles, including the Expedition, the Navigator, the F-Series Super Duty pickup trucks. That was in Kentucky. Over 13,000 Explorer and Lincoln Aviator crossovers in the Chicago area. 22,000 Transit vans and F-Series light pickup trucks in Kansas, and 10,000 Rangers in Michigan. Then there's 23,000 BMWs. That's the X3 and the X4 in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So this is a real deal, and it's really affecting the auto industry in a bad way. So to date, there are 2.58 million vehicles that have been stripped out of production so far this year. So that is absolutely incredible. So if you think that prices are going to really fluctuate, I mean, in the case of this Bolt, that's a good deal, but it's going to be interesting to watch how much discounting or rebates are going to be going on. All right, let's get into the live portion of the question and answer here. Here's one. BMW is now offering $11,000 incentive on a 2024 Series Grand Coupe plus no freight PDI. Is it worth to go with the old gen cars? Can I push for more discount? Okay, this is very good information, and you should go to carcostcanada.com now and sign up using the promo code MotorMouth. So you might be able to see that on there. You probably will. There might be some secret incentives and rebates and discounted interest rates. Sounds like you've got a lot of the information there. If it was me, I would have no problem getting a really good deal on the latest 2020 Grand Coupe. It's a wonderful car, gives you all the practicality with that big lift gate, especially if you can get the inline 6-cylinder engine. Now, the money that's being thrown on that car comes from BMW, okay? Always ask the dealer to kick in. So in the case of Matt Culver, he got $14,000 off from General Motors for his Chevy Bolt, and then the dealer kicked in $2,000. You should do the same thing. Say, hey, there's how much is it again? $11,000 off this 4 Series Grand Coupe. Great car. What are you going to do to sweeten the deal? And they should come back with something. Carter's here. Happy Monday. Have you shared with me previously car you owned what you loved but Andrea hated? I remember correctly at a 5 Series station wagon. What family-owned car did you both love? Well, the one vehicle that we've all in the entire family been able to agree on as a vehicle that we all love is our Porsche Cayenne. We're on our second Cayenne. We've had, oh, someone's at the door. Who is that? Come on in. Jack, have a seat.
The new chair, too.
Got the new chair. Look at you. Jack, Jack got a summer job. Where are you working?
I'm working at Safeway.
Safeway. Do you know what you're going to be doing?
Stocking shelves.
Are you?
Yeah, I might see some Canucks there.
Oh, yeah, some Canucks live near us.
Jim Benning had a spotting there. When he lied, he said he was in Texas.
Yeah.
And then they put on Twitter, I thought you were supposed to quarantine because he just didn't want to deal with the Jake Vertanen thing. So he lied and he said that he went to the U.S. And then he was spotted in Texas or in Safeway 2 days later.
Is that the one you'll be working at?
Yeah.
And don't one of the Sedines live near there?
Yeah, Daniel. He lives like
a few blocks away.
Yeah.
It's pretty quiet in sports these days.
Yeah, well, the Canucks are out officially. Well, not officially. They need to win every game, and the Canadians can't win once.
Oh.
So it's not looking too good.
So Leafs going to win the cup this year?
No. They'll roll through the North, and then they will get destroyed by whoever else there is. So Tampa, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Boston, Washington, any of the teams that they would normally play in the East, they'll lose to once they get out of the Canadian side.
All right. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for the beer.
That. No problem.
Good work. So when's your first day at Safeway?
Don't know.
Doesn't know yet. All right. There he goes. There's Jack's got his summer job. Cheers, everybody. That's good. What are we talking about? Oh, vehicles. Okay. We all agree on the Cayenne. I like it. Andrea likes it. Kids like it. Jack likes it. Yeah, I think the one vehicle that we had two BMWs that I loved. Andrea, she didn't like the station wagon just because a lot of women hate station wagons. And we had a 7 Series, a 740 IS. What a great car. It was 2001, the very last month they made that car. And it had electrical gremlins, and it left Andrea stranded, so she wasn't too happy with that. I have a Honda Civic Si Coupe. Love it. How big of an upgrade in performance would it be to get a Type R? Well, you have a wonderful car, but I would suggest that... where's it gone here? You've got an Si. It's a big jump in performance. Like, who's kidding who? The Type R is fantastic because it's not just the engine, it's the suspension. It just handles fantastically well. The ride. Now, the nice thing about the Si is you do have the adaptive sport suspension that you get with the Si. So if you're really itching and you got a big Jones to get a lot more power, yeah, look for the Type R. But if you're happy with the Si, and you should be, yeah, but you know what? There's no real comparison. That's a much more potent machine in every way. I'm going to buy a 2020 BRZ or BRZ. Should I wait a year just in case there are bugs to work out? Well, you know, it depends how well you're going to sleep at night. I mean, if you worry about these things, then don't do it. Wait a year. If you're going to roll the dice and go for it, I'm not. I mean, it is the logical thing to do. But a car like a BRZ isn't logical. It's passionate. So, you know, maybe sometimes you got to listen to that side of your brain. Harpreet is here saying, what are your thoughts on the last gen Subaru Outback 3.6 liter R? I'm hesitating on buying the XT, an unproven turbo powertrain. Not a fan of the iPad size infotainment system either. Well, I wouldn't suggest that that is an unproven engine because they do have a turbocharged engine in the Ascent, and they've had it there for a couple of years. They have had turbocharged engines in the Forester, the XT. As far as I know, they've been really quite reliable. The biggest difference you're going to notice is that the old 3.6 liter, from memory, was conventional automatic transmission, where when you go for the new one, you're going to get a continuously variable unit. When it comes to the big screen, I like it. I like the big screen. I prefer it over the dual screen they had in the old one. But yeah, there's something to be said for that 6-cylinder with a conventional automatic. I mean, if you like that and get a good deal on one, why not go for it, right? David Ing is saying, is it really that difficult to get rid of the hump on the second row? Why isn't everyone going when it clearly provides a big benefit? Well, you're talking about the transmission bump or the exhaust or the bump in the back seat. A lot of times that's structural, right? So they do that for strength in the car. So not only is it a place to hide things like exhaust or maybe the drive shaft that goes to the rear wheels, it also can have a structural benefit to it as well. But I know what you're saying. You get in a vehicle like the Honda CR-V, it's got a perfectly flat floor at the back because you can put kids in and out, no problem. I think our Civic has a perfectly flat floor. So it can be done. It's just an engineering choice. I heard that GM might scrap the Camaro by 2023. Why do you think they aren't selling well in their segment? I think it just comes down to the fact that it's all SUV all the time these days. I mean, it's just crazy. We can attest to it here on the channel. We put a car out and it does okay. We put an SUV out, everybody watches it. Just looking at the numbers of people, the eyeballs, and this is, grandmother research of one YouTube channel, but cars just don't have the pull. It just is that simple. And you get more SUVs. You'll even see here on the channel, we cover a lot of SUVs because that's what people are buying and that's what they want. And it's just the way it goes. Hey, John is here in Moncton. Nice to see you. Someone's saying it's not in sync tonight. This is not a me problem. This is a YouTube problem. I have gone through this many times before, so I apologize if I'm out of sync. I have a 14 RVR. What would you suggest? I'm looking to stay in the class of SUV, but something more luxurious with similar reliability. Used diesel Q5. Yeah, I was going to suggest a Q3, actually. One of the newer Q3s. Just came out last year. I'm not sure if you want to spend that much money, but I'm a big fan of the Q3, the new one, okay? Not the previous one, because the previous one was on the old Tiguan platform. So if you can find a Q5 diesel, go for it. But I would suggest maybe the new Q3 instead. So type if it's still out of sync at the bottom. Is it still out of sync? Can anybody let me know? Type away there, because this is I've gone through this before. It's not me. It's YouTube. Nobody's going to write. What's going to happen? I'll get 16 in a bunch of them here. It's in sync or out of sync. Eddie Chin writes yes. Yes, it's in sync or out of sync. Out of sync. Oh crap! I don't know what to suggest. It's in sync, out of sync. See, there you go. One person says in and one says out. All right. I don't know what to suggest. What the hell can I do? What can I do? Planning on buying a Mazda 3 turbo sedan. I'm okay with the space. Your views on it? Yeah, if you like it. Actually, it's quite interesting because I think the sedan in some ways looks better. And it's a great engine. And you're going to get all-wheel drive, so that's good. I mean, what's not to like about it? The only knock against it, possibly, is that it doesn't have independent rear suspension. But you're getting a sort of almost premium experience in a non-premium brand. So if you like it, go for it. We have a super chat. I love those. Drove the base 718 manual with the cool twisty road near me. I like whining out an engine. Makes me feel like I should get a used 718 and change the final drive ratio instead of going new. Thoughts? Well, I'm not sure about doing a mechanical upgrade like that. I would suggest is you just buy it and drive it, or get the S if you want to get a little bit more power and get the twin turbo instead of the single turbocharger. A lot of people like the base model with the single turbocharger, and it's one of those things. It's the kind of car that the more you drive it and the more you learn it, the more fun you're going to have with it. And it's a classic case of, a big engine, lots of power. You kind of figure that out pretty fast, right? It goes, I call them point and squirt cars. You point it, you squirt, and away you go. A car with an engine like that has a 4-cylinder, one single turbocharger, it's got more character to it. The more you drive it, the more you're going to learn how to drive it, how to get the most out of it. So I'm a big proponent of, I would just buy it and enjoy it. It does handle better than the old 6-cylinder. And maybe if you can afford it, get the S. Just think about it. All right. So some people are saying I'm getting close to being in sync. As I mentioned, it's YouTube, not me. We have Chris here. Ken is asking, when's the Buick Envision review coming out? Well, Ken, I'm going to be blunt with you. It has been shot. It has not been edited. It's in the computer. We have had a bunch of vehicles kind of fall in our lap here in the last couple of weeks. So we've been waiting for them to arrive. They've been on a train or whatever. And then all of a sudden we get a phone call and go, it's here. Do you want it? And then so Andrew and I go, yeah, we'll take it. We'll figure out, we'll do the extra work. We'll add extra days into our schedule to make sure we cover it. So unfortunately, the Buick's getting punted down a little bit. So it's probably going to be in the next couple of weeks. So just stay tuned. It will be out. And I liked it. I think it's a great looking car. I think the Buick Envision looks really good. The only knock I have against it, well, there's two of them. One is the button shifter. Don't love that. And the engine's a bit noisy at startup, but that's about it. Hey, Zach, I have a sister who wants to upgrade her 14 Journey and buy a new 7-seater SUV. We like the mother-in-law, so you want some space in the back. She likes the 17 Mazda 3 and is inclined to go for the CX9. Yeah, the CX9 is fine. It really comes down to, Keith, so watch the video that just came out today. Andrea and I did the CX9. How often you're going to use that third row of seats. There's no issue with leg room. It's the slope of the rear hatch really eats into cargo space behind the third row of seats. So if you're only using that third row of seats on occasion and you don't need a ton of cargo space, it's a fantastic choice. It handles really well. The engine is great, beautiful interior, and the seats are soft and comfortable all the way, even in the back in the mother-in-law seat. So tell her to give it a shot and see what she thinks. I'm always going to go right back to my default in this category, which is the Telluride right now. I think it's just the one to beat. But try out the CX9. See if she likes it. Oh, there he is asking again. We know, Andrea, and you like the CX9 over the Palisade, but would you rate it over the Telluride? I think the Palisade and the Telluride are a step up from the CX9, in my opinion. What differentiates a midsize SUV from compact ones? Why some compact SUVs are as big as a midsize? So vehicle classifications traditionally are interior volume. Okay, so calculating the number of liters or the square feet of space on the inside. There were different categories for the amount of space you get on the inside. But you're right. There were some vehicles that are kind of like they bust two categories. A perfect example is the Hyundai Santa Fe. The bottom end trims on price compete with regular compact utilities like the RAV4s and the CRVs, but the higher end trims, and because it is bigger, the more expensive ones compete with vehicles like the Murano and the Ford Edge and vehicles like that. So there's quite a bit of gray area in all of this, and compact utilities, for example, for the most part have been like the RAV4 and the CRV, but some of them are getting bigger, like the Tiguan is quite big. This new Tucson we just picked up is really quite big. The Santa Fe is another perfect example, so I agree with you. It's really calculated on interior volume, though. What do you like better for a teenager between a V40 Ford Edge and a Honda CRV? I say CRV. CRV, the V40, that's kind of getting old now. I would say a CRV, especially one if you can get one with the Honda safety sensing system, especially for a teenager with the forward collision warning and the autonomous braking. So look for a vehicle that has that. I'm trying to remember the year. Would it be 2016 or 2017 they put that in there? And that's why, people ask me, why did you choose a Honda Civic as a family car for our kids to start driving on? And it was really because, first of all, the Honda Civic's very reliable, but also it comes with those advanced safety features. And for new drivers, stuff happens. People bang into each other, and having an autonomous stopping system in a car, I think, is well worth it for a teenager. Now, the V40 might have the city safe, the safe city. Can't remember what it was. There was pedestrian detection and other things that the Volvo had in there, and they're one of the pioneers, of course, of these things. So that might have it. Huge Haggis. Nice to see you, by the way, Mr. Huge. What is your first car and most memorable car? All right. Now, I'm not this old, but this was my first car. My dad in Toronto spotted on Queen West, the real trendy part of Toronto, kind of before it was trendy. He saw an old 1949 Buick parked on Queen West with a for sale sign. And he says, let's buy it. And so we bought it together, and that was my first car, a 1949 Buick Super. And we had it for many years, and I used to drive it. I didn't drive it in the winter, but I used to drive it to high school. I used to load in all my friends with it. It was just a big old beast, and really slow. My dad liked that, really slow. So that was like my first car, but my first sort of everyday car was an old Volkswagen Rabbit that I had. And then from there, I went to a Beetle. I bought an old Super Beetle. And from there, I went to a Chevy pickup truck, then a Toyota Celica or Celica. and then a bunch of BMWs and you name it. But yeah, it was a 1949 Buick. If you've ever seen the movie Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, they drive across the United States in a 1949 Buick Roadmaster convertible. Different car, different class of car, but the same car, same look. Jerome's back again. Thanks for the super chat. Is it safe to believe any manual transmission car will go up in value for this moment forward, knowing they're more and more rare? Well, it's funny that you mentioned this because I was reading on a forum, somebody was saying, oh, you know, manual transmission cars are not going to go up in value. They're going to be more and more irrelevant. I disagree with that 100%. I'm with you, Jerome. I think that as a manual transmission cars start to disappear in the availability of them. So, for example, you used to be able to get a 3 Series BMW with a manual transmission. That's gone. You used to be able to get a 5 Series BMW with a manual. That's gone. Those are just 2 examples, but it goes on and on and on. And the number of manual transmission cars is shrinking. We're really only looking at specialty units now, things like Porsches, you know, and so on. Miata is a perfect example of a great car with a manual transmission. But some of these more fun cars, like, for example, I think a car that would definitely be worth holding on to if you had one would be like a BMW 335 or a 340 with a manual transmission and the inline 6-cylinder. Years from now, there's going to be guys going, I really got a Jones for one of those, and you'll have to pay if you want a nice one. So it always comes down to condition, of course, but the fact that there's less and there's still a group of people like me and like you, I'm sure, that like to drive stick and want to stick when you can afford it and say, I wouldn't mind having a fun kind of toy car. That's when the prices go up. I'm with you. TK Porsche says that '05 Acura TL looks much better than the new TLX. That car has timeless style. So that's back to the very beginning where we do the pictures. I would kind of agree with you on that. Hey, Zach, just got my brand new 4Runner Venture. Only complaint is it doesn't come with all-terrain tires, just all-season stock ones. What brand tire would you recommend? Enjoy the show. Oh, this is where you want to go to Tacoma. I think it's Tacoma World. I've been on that for many. I think it's called Tacoma World. I would go on to a Toyota web forum, and there's lots of people that chime in with all kinds of like there's BF Goodrich, there's Wrangler tires. There's lots of good all-terrain tires, but I would see what the Hive thinks about this. I have my Tacoma has same thing, all season tires on it because it's a 5-lug design for the wheel. So yeah, I'm going to defer to a web forum on that. The other thing you can do is go to Tire Rack, for example, and then put in your vehicle and the wheel size and all that, and then go all terrain, and it'll suggest a bunch of tires for you, and you can then filter it out by best sellers, things like that, and you'll see a bunch of reviews on there as well. You don't have to order from them, but you can do some research for sure. That's where a good place to start, along with a web forum. You talked last week about being a good time to sell a used car, but would that still apply to a special edition 11 BMW M335 with M Performance package with 200,000 kilometers? Well, it's funny, I was just mentioning that car. A 335 is a wonderful car. What's going to be against you is the mileage, obviously. You know that. I don't need to tell you. 200,000 kilometers on a car is a big red flag for a lot of people, just based on the maintenance that these cars can need, especially with the turbocharged engine. So yes, it's going to be better than it was, but if you had a 335 M Performance package with 80,000 kilometers on it, well, that's going to be a much easier sell. So you can test the waters. You can put it on advertising that's free, like Facebook Marketplace, if you're considering it, and see what happens. You never know. That's basically the M340 of 2 generations. Yeah, I know the car. I know the car very, very well. That's one hell of a car. What's your opinion of Chinese motors, automaker GAC Motors? There's so many Chinese brands, and I have seen them, and I've been to the Shanghai show 3 times. I've been to the Beijing show once. So I've been to four Chinese auto shows, which are just enormous. so huge and so many different brands. I don't have anything specific to say about that. All I can say is that one thing I've noticed about being at Chinese auto shows and seeing the cars that they have there, a lot of these Chinese brands have fantastic designers. I'm not sure where they're from. They might be domestic Chinese designers. I don't know. But a lot of the cars that they make look really good. And the quality is so much better. So when we went to Beijing, like it would be 8-9 years ago, or the very first time, you would see these cars, and then you would come up to them and see them close up, and they would be like, "Oh, this is a joke. The fit and finish is terrible," all that kind of stuff. But then as the years went by and we went back to the Chinese auto shows, so we went just 2 years ago to the Shanghai show, and you go and you look at the cars that are out now, and you're like, wow. These look good. The quality, visually looks really good. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I still think that there's going to be an opportunity for somebody to license a Chinese electric car and rebadge it and sell it here in North America, especially if you could do it at the low price that the Chinese can do it. There might be a market for that, kind of the way that Hyundai did when they first arrived, bringing in an ultra-cheap car and selling it. So we'll have to wait and see. But it seems to me that the appetite for Chinese cars is very, very low right now. What do you think of the Taycan Cross Turismo? It looks like the Panamera Sport... what the hell's it called again? The Panamera shooting brake. It looks like that. I don't know. Have to wait until I get a chance to drive it. My 18 ILX lease expired. I just signed up a lease on a 2021 Corolla. Since I do mostly city driving in Toronto, don't have a single XSE model Ontario. Man, this pandemic. Wow. There you go. Not a single XSE model in Ontario. Well, so you're not going to get a big discount on it. I mean, we are all living through extraordinary times. If you had told me a year ago when this all hit that a year from now there would be a shortage of cars and there would be massive demand in the United States, the seasonally adjusted sales rate in the United States is shooting through the roof. To the point where they could, if they had the capacity to deliver all the cars, they could be heading towards record sales territory again. It's just crazy how all of this pent-up demand for vehicles and a lot of forced savings by people in Canada and the U.S. So car sales, I think, are going to be strong for a while. By the way, we've got 240 plus people on board and 69 thumbs up. If you guys can give me more thumbs up, that'd be great. Ken K, Nissan Kicks or Hyundai Venue? I like the Kicks better than the Venue. And it's funny you mentioned that because what did we pick up? We just picked up the new Kicks. So there will be a video on the Kicks in the next couple of weeks. So we have lots of cars that we're churning through right now, and the Kicks is one of them, and it has just been updated for this model year. And I like the Kicks. Andrea really likes the Kicks. She thinks it's great, but I like it better than the Venue. Evan Katz says I'm a little out of focus. That's why I look so youthful, Evan. I keep it out of focus. Hello from Calgary. I'm looking at an LS460 2014 with 44,000 K for $47,000 on the value. Anything to worry about regarding this model? Thank you. So first thing, you want to go to CanadianBlackBook.com. You want to look up a 2014 Lexus 460 with 44,000 kilometers and find out what the wholesale price is, the retail price, and see if that number is good. To me, at $47,000, that seems a little bit high for a car that's of that age. When it comes to things that you should worry about, not much. It's a big, beautiful, well-made Lexus, and just get the best deal you can on it. Always have a pre-purchase inspection done on the car just to make sure that it hasn't been in a major accident or some kind of funky repair or anything that was done to the car. Get a Carfax as well. Get whoever's selling you the car to provide the Carfax for you, and so on. But yeah, get going on the price. That's your main thing, is get a good price. But yeah, wonderful big luxury car that will run for a long, long time. Is the Lexus ES worth it over the Toyota Avalon? I don't believe so. I think the Avalon is an incredible car for driving if you're going to be doing long road trips or something like that, incredibly comfortable. Great handling. They really improved this latest generation Avalon, much, much better handling. And the Avalon is now available with all-wheel drive. However, you have to get the 4-cylinder engine, okay? The 2.5 liter, the same engine that's in the RAV4. So it's basically the RAV4 driveline that they modified for not just the Avalon, but the Camry. So now you can get all-wheel drive in an Avalon, but it's the 4-cylinder. If it was me, I'd get the 6-cylinder or just get a good set of winter tires. Which is the best among Volvo XC40 or Q3 for a couple? I like the Q3 better. Just my take on it. Plus it runs on regular gas. Enjoyed the recent Spider review. I would prefer the aggressive gearing of the ND2 MX-5 in this package for twisty roads in my area, but I find that I'm not sure what you didn't end it there. Hey Zach, Porsche talk. Any speculation on how the GT3 Touring will differ from the winged version, and is it worth the extra $50K from the Carrera S? Okay, so typically, if you go back and you look at the 991, the 991 Touring, my favorite car, the GT3 Touring, was the same car, minus the wing, and you had the option to do the sports seats or the fixed racing seats, the carbon fiber seats. I wouldn't get those. They're just not comfortable for long distance driving. But mechanically, they're pretty much the same. In addition, a lot of people think that the GT3 Touring doesn't have much downforce because the big wing isn't there. In fact, the engineers told me that the downforce of the Touring is very close to the big fixed wing version of it. So I'm not sure. I haven't done all of the research on the new one, but if you look back at the 991 variant of the GT3 Touring, it was more of a styling exercise than anything. For the most part, it was the same car. Is it worth the premium? Well, first of all, not sure you're going to get one. Okay, so the way GT cars are sold typically are to long-time Porsche buyers. So if you were a dealership and you had 15 guys that want a GT car, are you going to sell it to some punter that comes in off the street and says, I want to buy a GT? Or are you going to sell it to somebody that's bought his wife a Macan, he's had 3 or 4 different 911s, maybe had another GT? You're going to service and look after the longtime client. So the problem is, it's just wishful thinking. You will probably not get that car. It's going to go to somebody who's been a long time buyer of cars from that dealership. Unfortunately, that's the way the world works. You look after your best customers. Now, if that's you and you have bought many cars from the dealership, absolutely. If you can afford it, spend the extra money and get the GT3. It is, just to hear that red line of 9,000 RPM is absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. Safeway is in Canada now? Wow, we have them in California. Yeah, no, Safeway's been here ever since I moved here in the early 90s. There has been Safeway. When I first moved here, I'm like, Safeway, that's an American chain. But actually, it's Safeway in name. It's owned by a company based in the east coast of Canada called Sobeys. And they bought it maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, but there's lots of Safeways around. All right. Well, we got 106 thumbs up. This I like. All right. I'm just going through some here. I was going through all that sync stuff. I'm looking for a car in the $40,000 Canadian range. I want a sporty type car, looking at a Kia K5, the G70, Stinger, or GTI. What do you suggest? Is there another car out there that you might suggest? I think that you've got some pretty good choices there. The only one that I would wait on is the G70. So we know what the Stinger is. That's just been updated, and we just did a review on the channel a week or so ago. The G70 is the big unknown right now. Like the pricing has been announced for the G70. So if you do a search, you'll be able to see the pricing. Same thing. Genesis is pushing the price up of that car. But then we have to wait for the new engines and to drive it and see what it's like. For $40,000 Canadian, I don't think you're going to get a G70. You're going to get a used one. And a Stinger, you're going to have to buy a used one as well. The most car I would suggest that you're going to be able to get for your money out of that would be probably the GTI or the Kia K5 GT. That's the 290 horsepower version, but it's front wheel drive only. But so's the GTI. So I would say it's between the K5 and the GTI. And if you know me, you know I always say GTI. Somebody saying, subscriber Sip, love Jack's OVO gear. How is your ceramic coating holding up? Trying to learn more about cleaning car. What products would you recommend? Yeah, I'll let Jack know. He's a big OVO fan. That's Drake's line of clothes. It's quite big here in Canada. I think it's sold around the world. I bought him a shirt in Japan when I was there last time. The ceramic coating is doing great, and if you missed the video on the channel, I did a quick video on ceramic coating of our Cayenne, and the reason what we did it is because our car sits out on the street. This house I'm in is 100 years old, huge big maple trees out there, always crap landing on the car, and always birds crapping on the car, and I'm always hosing it off and cleaning it off. Well, the one thing I will say is the great thing is when you get stuff on the ceramic coating and it just hoses right off. It's amazing. I can hose the car off and it looks like it's been washed. Now, it is a white car. That certainly helps. I notice the biggest difference when I'm cleaning the wheels. You used to have to really get in there and really clean the wheels with some kind of iron remover or whatever. Now I can just wash it with a little soft brush and clean all the spokes, and it just all rinses away. So I'm a bit of a fan now. It was too expensive, and I'm not sure it was worth it. But now, if I was going to buy a brand new car, especially an expensive car, I would get it ceramic coated. Hey, Zach, I test drove an F-Pace 340 horsepower for the first time the other day, and I loved it. Should I be scared of reliability and lean towards an X3, M40, or GLC? Yes, Josh, you should be scared. And I'm being honest with you. You can look up the reliability and quality scores for Land Rover Jaguar, and they're not pretty, and you would be much better served. Plus, the X3 M40 that is the one. That's the one. You've been watching this live show so many times, Josh. You know I'm going to say that's the one you want. Get that one. Why is no one talking about the VW Taos? I think there's only one review out there because it's not available. That's why. There might be some in the U.S. that have been able to get their hands on it. Been talking to Volkswagen Canada. When are we getting the car? We just got to wait. Oh, by the way, last week, production started for the new Civic in the Alliston, Ontario factory. So the new Civic doesn't look like it's being delayed. Looks like they're doing the early integration cars. What they do is they run them through the line very, very slowly. So they're making the current car, and then they'll put a new one on there as well. And then they'll slowly transition the line over, and then they can speed up the run rate and make the full production cars. That's going to be happening. So it's probably June, in a month, the new Civic should be arriving. What are your initial thoughts of the new 2022 Acura TLX Type S? Also, do you think it will be a formidable competitor to the M340 C43S? No, it's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a formidable competitor to those cars. It's going to have a different feel to it. It's a front-wheel bias, really, system. Now, it does have all-wheel drive, and it does have the super handling all-wheel drive. Now, the other thing, Barrick, is I haven't driven the car yet, so the proof, as they always say, is in testing it out. And I always say, don't look at numbers. So people are disappointed. It's 355 horsepower when you've got like Stinger and the G70 with 365, but now being upgraded to 368 horsepower. So why didn't Acura come out with a more powerful engine? That's all just mumbo jumbo. The real test is how does it deliver? Because the calibration between the engine and the transmission is the most vital part. So how well does that 10-speed automatic shift and how quick is it, and how does it keep the engine in its sweet part of the rev range to make it satisfying and fun to drive, because it is their performance sedan. So all of that, we got to try it out. And then you get in there, how does the all-wheel drive system handle in the platform? I would still take an M340 most days over most cars, but we'll have to wait until we get a chance to drive it. I bought a 19 RS5 Sportback that has ceramic brakes. I've read a lot of differing opinions on the track concerns of the brakes. Any thoughts? Okay, so Brandon, I'm not sure, are you taking this to the track? This is the big question I would have. If you're just driving it regularly, have at it, enjoy them. They're going to last a long, long time, if not the lifespan that you have the car. Wonderful braking power. What people talk about when cars go to the track, and this happens with the 911 community, because the ceramic brakes in a 911 were $14,000 the last time I checked, something like that. And the people that go to the track for track days a lot, they actually don't want ceramic brakes. Because they do wear under extreme driving conditions on the track, and they're very expensive to replace. So some people have actually taken the ceramic brakes off and then just put on the red 911 turbo brakes that are easy to service. Parts are readily available. Yes, you have to replace the pads and the rotors, but it's not that hard to get them, and it's just part of a maintenance schedule. So ceramic brakes, if you're not going to the track, are going to be just fantastic. If you are going to the track, you might want to take them off and just put on regular non-ceramics, because you will wear through them, and they're very expensive to replace. Just something to think about. How would you rate the Volkswagen Tiguan? The Tiguan's getting old now, and they did an update to it, but they didn't do much to it. And I was really disappointed that they didn't do anything to the engine, because it's the one area that I think that it could use a little bit more jump. It's a big vehicle, right? I wish they would do something with it. Why is this out of focus? Why is it doing that? Which is better, Trailblazer or Celtos? I would say the top Celtos with the 1.6 liter turbo and the dual clutch transmission is the one. Now, if you're looking at the lower end units, the 1.3 liter turbo in the Trailblazer is actually really, really quite good. So it's kind of an inverse thing. The entry level Trailblazers are good with the 1.3 liter. And then when you get into the higher end versions, then it switches and the Celtos becomes the one to beat. Does that make sense? So I'm not sure what your price point is, if you're looking just for an entry level car or a more high end car. Are there any leaks regarding the 2022 Telluride to be aware of, or when release date may be, such as wireless Apple and Android? I wonder how the badge will fit on the grill. So what you need to do, Jacob, is you need to look at other vehicles in the family, and when they've had updates, what has been done to them. So you're going to start to see things. And a perfect example is this. This is the new Carnival, right? So you're right, there are some omissions and things that could be improved. So just go and look at the newest vehicles from Kia and see what they've added, and you will see that cadence spread through to Telluride, for example, when it's time to be updated. I'm not sure what the timeline is. You seem to think it's the 2022 model year. I'm not sure about that. One thing is, for example, this Carnival has a huge double screen infotainment and instrument cluster system. Looks very much like the MBUX system from Mercedes-Benz, with a huge 12.3-inch screen for infotainment and for digital instrument cluster. So my guess is that will be coming to Telluride. How they're going to integrate it, I'm not sure, but if I was a betting man, I would bet that, and things like wireless Apple and Android will come. But when that is, we're just speculating. Is the Type R a detuned Honda Accord 2-liter worth the $45,000 price tag, or would getting an Audi A3 be a better buy considering the Prestige logo? No, I think a Type R is a Type R. It's not just the engine is a big part of it, but it's not just the engine. It's the suspension. It's the transmission. The transmission has to be tried. It's sublime how good it is, how easy it is to shift. I mean, that car is amazing. It's just a great car. So no, it's not. An A3 isn't going to hold a match to it, and neither will an Accord. It's a totally different beast. There's a super chat here I might have missed. Love your show. Which sports car, 40 to 60, that holds value? Thanks. So you want to look for vehicles that are kind of hard to get and in demand. So 40 to 60,000 in price, that will hold its value. So if you're talking a pure sports car, you're always going to be well served with a Porsche. Okay, so look for a used Boxster or Cayman. Will be right in that snack bracket there. Find the best one you can afford, and make sure it's inspected. Look after it, and if you care for the car and you don't get crazy high mileage on it, you're going to be able to sell that car a few years from now for not much less than you paid for it. So that is always that's the gold standard when it comes to sports cars for resale value. Really is a Porsche for cars that most people might be able to achieve and get. So that would be my advice. Look for Boxsters and Caymans in that price range. Find the best one you can. Always try and get an S if you can, a Boxster or Cayman S, because those are more desirable used and easier to sell. So that's where I would look. And good luck in the search, because the search is almost the most fun, is finding the car, scoring the car, landing the car, getting the car. That's the fun part. Ah, Stella, you are good. When are you reviewing the Tucson Hybrid? We are doing it this week. We just got it today. We're gonna turn it around and it'll be out on Saturday. Thinking of ordering a 21 Night Sky black on black. Have at it. Do car companies pay you to fly to their press events? No, they don't pay me to fly to their press events. They pay for the flight, and they pay for the hotel and the food, and that's the industry standard. So when there's a launch somewhere, say I fly to California and we're going to drive a new Mustang, for example. Ford Motor Company will pay for the flight, they pay for the hotel, and they pay for the food. I stay there for a night or two, I get on a plane, and I fly home. Now, it all sounds very glamorous when you do it once. It's probably really glamorous if you do it twice. But if you do it every week, it's not so glamorous. It's work. And that's just the way it is. It's cheaper for a car company to fly me to one location where they can have 30 or 40 cars than to have 60 or 80 cars spread around the country. And that's what we're dealing with now. So yeah, press events are an efficient way for car companies to get a bunch of people to drive their cars. And that's how it works. So I'm going through all of these. Was I out of sync? Richard Lee says, I have an 18 SQ5, thinking of swapping it for a Q4 e-tron coming this year. What are your thoughts? Well, I think, Richard, you really got to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I really want an electric car? Do I want to have, someone come and put a charger in my house and all that kind of stuff? And you're paying a lot for a vehicle that we don't know what the resale value is going to be. So I'm not discouraging you from it. They're just questions you have to ask yourself. So if you really like the vehicle, you like the idea of electric, go for it. Why not? Thoughts on financing a 2021 RS7? How do Audis do on reliability? Can I keep it for at least 7-8 years without big issues? Well, we had an Audi A7 for 4 years, and we didn't have any issues with it. An RS7 is obviously probably a little more maintenance heavy than an A7. You've got the air suspension and a whole bunch of other go-fast components, plus a big-ass engine under there. What I would suggest is, if you're getting it, it's going to have 4 years of warranty on it. And then when you get towards the end of the 4th year, when the vehicle's about to come out of warranty, at that time you might say, you know what, maybe I don't want to keep feeding this thing gasoline like I have to because it's going to be heavy on fuel. You might decide to get rid of it. So don't buy any extended warranty now. Wait till the regular warranty is just about to end, and then you can get a warranty. And stay tuned to this channel, because we're going to be having somebody come on, expert, talking about warranty for the Canadian market. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, you're going to have no problem under warranty, of course. And when the warranty is just about to end, maybe you want to buy an extra one. Hi, Zach. Regarding the Santa Fe review, why do folks assume going for a premium brand means less depreciation than mainstream? Santa Fe depreciates less or about the same after 5 years as a Q5, X3, and RDX. Yeah, so that's true. Nobody's saying anything. What we mentioned in the video was that the Santa Fe's predicted depreciation after, was it 4 years? I think it was 4 years, was 50%. And the only reason that we brought it up, because in comparison to, say, a RAV4, that vehicle only depreciates about 36%. So it's nothing to do with being premium or non-premium. It's basically a Hyundai Santa Fe versus like a Toyota RAV4. The depreciation on a RAV4 is better, and that's just a fact of the market. The market has decided that they're willing to pay more for a Toyota RAV4, so that's just the reality of it. Thoughts on the K5 versus the Camry? Well, as I mentioned earlier, now both are available with all-wheel drive. So the K5 in the Canadian market is standard all-wheel drive. The only exception is the top GT trim that's the more powerful version and only front-wheel drive. The Camry is available with all-wheel drive, but only with the 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine. They're both good vehicles. I think that the K5 is newer and nicer on the inside. The Camry's, a little bit basic in comparison. I think the K5, especially if you get that N-line, is it N-line? No, that's Hyundai. The GT line looks really smart. So based on looks and interior, I say Kia. Based on reliability and resale value, I say Toyota. Jerome's asking, what is your all-time favorite car? The one that made you say, gosh, I want one right now. The car that car for me, for most of my young adult male life, was a 911. And thankfully I married the woman I married, because when I had a big birthday, she said, just go get it. Like, get it out of your system, just do it. So I was able to buy my dream car, which was the last of the air-cooled 911s, which was the 993. And I had a pretty rare one. I had a 993 Carrera S, the rear-wheel drive, and I had that car for almost 5 years. And then I got rid of it. That was during the Great Recession when that all hit. I sold the car, and then another one fell in my lap. I was out having some beers with some buddies watching the hockey game, and this one fellow that a friend of a friend knew was selling his Carrera 4S. Same year, 1997 Carrera 4S. So it was the same car except being rear-wheel drive. It was all-wheel drive. And I had that car for 4 years, and I sold it. And the reason I sold it was the prices of them had gone through the roof. So I cashed that check. So I kind of got that out of my system. So basically, over 10 years, I had two 993s. So that was my car. Got it out of my system, and I don't pine for it anymore. Like, I did it. I had one. Moving on to the next thing. The one car I still want is an E39 M5, a BMW E39 M5. That to me is just perfect. The best 5 Series. The best M5, manual transmission, naturally aspirated, 400 horsepower, rear-wheel drive only. It's just perfect. Plus, it looks good. I've told you guys before this. There's a great guy in Germany, in Frankfurt. He has a channel called It's called M539, I think it's called, Restoration. You can type it in M5 Restoration. Anyway, he gets all these old BMWs and he fixes them up. They're repair it kind of videos, but he's funny and he's engaging and he's very good at it. And he has a beautiful blue E39 M5, which I would love to have. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats here. Oh, Peter's here. Sorry, Peter. Last week, I sent a super chat asking your opinion on my next company car, CX9 VW Cross. Toyota Highlander went off the rail. Cadillac CT5 Premium Lux. So I think I was the one who screwed it up because I was calling it car company instead of a company car. I'll say this. Okay, so now Peter, I appreciate the super chat. So you're looking at the CX9, the VW Cross Sport, Toyota Highlander, CT5 Premium Lux. I would suggest the CX9, having just driven it, is pretty damn nice. If it's a company car and they're paying for it, especially if you can get the top signature trim, that's a pretty sweet ride. I do like the CT5. The CT5 would be pretty cool. Yeah. Is that the one? Okay, so since we drove the CT5V with the 6-cylinder, the 3-liter, they added that engine in without all the V parts, like with the suspension and the electronic limited slip rear differential and the Brembo brakes. I think it's like the regular CT5, but you get the bigger engine. If that's the one you're talking about, that would be a pretty nice car. That'd probably be the one I'd choose if you're wanting a car over an SUV. Excuse me. All right. It is 6 o'clock. We've been doing this an hour. We're doing roast chicken tonight. Andrea does a good roast chicken. Thanks to everybody. I don't... and Peter's saying he picks it up tomorrow. I don't know what you got, Peter. Which one did you get? If I don't read your question, I read them all after the fact. And thanks to everybody that's on the live show. Tomorrow, it's the Hyundai Santa Fe and the Kia Sorento. Wednesday, it's the Carnival from Kia. On Saturday, it's going to be the Tucson Hybrid. On Friday, some collectible kind of fun car. I think it's a right-hand drive Japanese Nissan 300Z or 300Z. Pretty cool, right? I think that's going to be the one. All right, so there you go. I got to go. Time for dinner. We'll speak to you next time. I feel like I'm a bit of a scatterbrain here at the end, but you get the idea. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.